if you've been watching the previous videos that I would talk about, one of the parameters that's important to me, especially for dividend investing, is that the dividend yield should at least be 5%. And of course, you can get higher, but at least the minimum for me in terms of dividend investing is that I want the stocks that I own when at the time that I would purchase them at a certain dividend that's giving out to give me at least 5%. And now you could easily filter it by clicking filter, and then you just put here like say 5%. Your lower limit is 5% and it would not be lower than 5%. And then if you want to fix it and also put like a range, you could put an upper limit there. But the bare minimum for me is having something at 5%. So hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk about one of the easiest ways on how you can analyze your dividend stocks, filter it, rank it, so that it's easy for you to be able to invest based on the parameters that you have. Meaning you could invest if it's closing the dividend X date that you want, and you can filter it in a way that's easy and efficient and fast. Or you could also, like me, if you're very, very sensitive with the amount of dividends or the percentage of dividends you would want to get, you would want to filter it based on the dividend yield that you would have as well. And if you've been following me throughout the years, what I normally do is I manually compute my dividends. I have an Excel sheet for the stocks that I'm personally tracking based on the dividends that they would also give out. And in the same way, whenever I share dividend stocks to all of you, I also manually compute. And as you all know, the dividend yield is basically the relationship between the dividends that they give out on an annual basis divided by the stock price. And also that's why I've been saying this over and over: the lower the stock price, the higher the dividend yield that you would actually get. So knowing the principles and the formulas will allow you also to analyze the stock properly. But if you're going to do this for a stretched period of time, and if you're doing also other things, it's nice to find efficient ways on how you could actually do it. And that's what I want to share to all of you: an easier way, an easier method for you to be able to filter out the dividend stocks that you like, to see if it's within the dividend yield that you also want. And then you could also rank them as well. Last month, I talked about DragonFi and how modern and technologically advanced their platform is. And they also have a new feature as part of their platform. It's called a dividend screener. Now, that being said, allow me to show it to you. If I'm looking to this side, that means I'm typing in my monitor as well. But anyways, looking at the dividend screener, this is how it basically looks. And what's nice about it firsthand is you can actually toggle things right here, and it will show you the one that gives you the highest dividend. TTM means trailing 12 months, so for the past 12 months. And then you'll also see it from the lowest per screen as well. So if I'll try to like toggle it from the lowest ones, I could easily see the ones that are giving me lower dividend yields, like SM Prime, ASEN, Jollibee, SMPH, Ali, good stocks, but they don't really give good dividend yields. Now, if I'll go back here, it will rank the top stocks that gives out dividend yield, at least from the last 12 months as well. If you've been watching the previous videos that I would talk about, one of the parameters that's important to me, especially for dividend investing, is that the dividend yield should at least be 5%. And of course, you can get higher, but at least the minimum for me in terms of dividend investing is that I want the stocks that I own when at the time that I would purchase them at a certain dividend that's giving out to give me at least 5%. And now you could easily filter it by clicking filter, and then you just put here like say 5%. Your lower limit is 5% and it would not be lower than 5%. And then if you want to fix it and also put like a range, you could put an upper limit there. But the bare minimum for me is having something at 5%. So apply filter. So it will just show me the stocks that are giving out 5% dividend yield on a TTM perspective. Now, if you'll click that here, so you'll see all of the stocks right here is currently at 5%. Now, let's go through what are the top stocks that the dividend screener of DragonFi is actually showing us from a dividend yield perspective. As you can see here, Megawide 31.15%. By the way, this is relatively high. They gave about 1 peso this year. You can see it right here. If you backtrack, they have it here also in another tab here that shows you previous year's dividends. They did not give out any dividend for the previous year or even last year. And if you've been following me also, I like companies that give out dividends on a regular and a consistent basis. But if you're just looking for a one-off dividend yield, the 31.15% that they've given out this year, I do believe that's something that's high. I don't know what they'll give out next year, but for those who are able to participate in that this year, that's a very, very good dividend that they've given out, and the yield for that is high as well. Next, you have the ones that we normally talk about in the channel. You have SCC giving out 21.88%, AB at 17.73%. You have CEU, the school, giving it at 15%. Then you have DMCI at 14.97%, LTG at 14.97%, PLDT at 14.9%, House at 14.47%, GMA7 at 12.63%, SGI at 12%. But here's the thing, there's other ways also to look at this and to analyze it. If you look at, for example, for PLDT, you could also make a comparison already. You're getting a dividend yield of 14.9% TTM, but if you analyze it further, the dividends that they gave out last year was 117 pesos per share. They're giving out 108 pesos per share. So one way to look at it, oh, okay, they gave out lower dividends. And that could be something for further insight for next year if you still own the stock, to see, will they give lower than 108 pesos next year? Or will they give something higher than 108 and 117? Then there's nothing to worry about in terms of how they're giving out their dividends. That's in one dashboard. You get to see already the dividend yield, you get to rank it, you get to see what they've given out this year, but you also get to see and compare what they've given out last year. What I think also will be helpful is that you could see a couple of things. You could see it from the further right also, the X date, and you could also see the payment date. And depending on what your strategy is, I know there are some people who want to buy stocks before the X date so that they get to participate in the dividends, and after they get it, and then when the price recovers also, they sell and then they move it to another stock. But there are people also who are just really long-term investors in dividend stocks that just want to buy it before the X date so they have more. And every time that they buy on a regular basis, they try to make sure that they buy it before the X date so that they could keep on adding to the dividends they would get on a regular basis. Another interesting thing about DragonFi is that they could actually show you also the dividends that you have received. And I think this is something that's helpful because from a Philippine scenario, you could only see the dividends that the company gave out, but you don't have the ability to see what were the dividends, at least from a recorded basis, of the dividends that you've received as an investor of the dividend stock. This is a sample screenshot that I got. If you look at it here, it will show already, like for example, for this screen, A-REIT, PDO, Megawide, RCR, SMC, V-REIT, the dividends it's received, and then the number of stocks that you own. Then, of course, the X date and payment date, but it will also show also the gross and net amount that you would receive based on the number of shares that you have and based on the dividends that they would get. You can actually tally that and actually see how much you've received also from a dividend perspective. Another facet is where you could group it, where it would list all of the dividends that you got per stock. So I do think that this is something that's very useful, especially if you're the type of person that loves dividend investing and loves cash flow. And I myself am a big fan of dividend investing because I do believe that this is one very, very good way on how you can receive cash flow without you forecasting, without you speculating, without you thinking about where the price will be over the next few years. It's a good way for you to get passive revenue by just holding on to a good company that you know is earning, and you know as they're earning, they're rewarding people as well. So one good way for you to be able to screen those dividend stocks is by using Dividend Screener by DragonFi. And if you want to know more about them, check out the links down below. And what's interesting also is that you can check out this code right here, and shall give you a promo to your DragonFi account as well. We've talked about the Dividend Screener. It's among the other amazing things that DragonFi has, and I've talked about that in the previous video. Check out the link down below also, by the way, if you want to see the previous video I made with DragonFi. They also have this Market Pulse dashboard that will show you a lot of useful information about the market. So for me, this is very interesting, and I use this even for crypto and for US stocks. The market sentiment, it shows you, if you look at the right side here, it shows you if it's bearish, neutral, or bullish. It gives you insight on what investors are feeling in the market. And so by the time of this recording, the market is relatively bearish on the Philippine market, or investors are generally bearish on the Philippine market, with a score of 38. Here's the thing, the Philippines is pretty much driven also by foreign investors, foreign institutions. The fact that you have locals, especially local institutions, majority of their funds fully deployed already. Majority of their funds have been fully deployed already. What will bring either merit on how the market moves up or down will be foreign institutional buying, more foreigners buying. It will create a larger buy side, which will also, as you all know in stocks, more buyers bring the prices up. And for institutional funds, for foreign funds, there are large amounts of money coming into our markets as well. So here you get a snapshot on what they're actually doing. you get to see it from a quarterly basis, and that's what we know from this quarter. Foreigners have been buying. Then also the previous quarter, they have been buying, but slightly. And then 3 previous quarters, they really haven't done much. They've been selling in our markets as well. And I like how graphical it is. Instead of just looking at numbers, you get to see it already if foreigners are coming in or they're coming out as well. From a monthly perspective, you get to see it too. We get to make informed decisions already that March, May, foreigners were selling. April, June, July, foreigners were buying. And as of this recording, August 2023, foreigners are selling. And you can look at it from a daily perspective that for the month of August, we only have 4 days where foreigners have started to buy. And mainly also when they started to buy, if you look at the context, the market has rebounded also they have been buying heavily as well. Now, that being said, for those who like technical analysis also, they have the relative strength index here. You don't have to look at a chart or a graph. You can already at least see it here. Overbought, oversold. And as you do know that when it's oversold, the market has been heavily sold down. You could actually spot some stocks, some opportunities where they're relatively cheap. And when it's overbought also, we could sense that the market has gone up quite a bit, gone up relatively faster than what it should, and there could be some corrective action going on. So I think it's a very, very good dashboard for those who don't want to plot their own charts, and it allows you already to at least see it in one go and in one area as well. Then you have market movers, most active, and then you also have calendar, which I think gives you some insight also on dividends that are coming out, their X dates and the record dates as well. But here you could also see if there are some SROs or rights offering. And also you have some IPOs. And as you all know, by the time of this recording, you also have the ACE and A and ACE and B that will be listed a few weeks from now as well. So it's one good dashboard that will allow you to see a lot of interesting market insights if you're an investor and if you're someone who wants to get data in a very fast and efficient way as well. I'll end it with this. They also have some videos, some educational videos that are short form that you could watch. But what's interesting here is the heat map, where you will see companies that, based on their market cap, how big of an effect that they have in the market for that period of time. So as you can see here, SM again is one of the largest companies in the Philippines with the largest market cap. And as they're down by 2.88%, the weight that it has on the broader market is quite big. Same with SM Prime, same with BDO. And you can see also that the smaller the market cap of the stock, the smaller the impact they have as well. So one way to look at it is AEV is down 2.19%, but the impact that it has versus, say, SM Prime, that's only down 0.33%, isn't as much. If there's one way you would look at this dashboard, it's you get a lot of info, very important info, in one glance and in one page as well. And then you also have some key economic indicators, which is quite good as someone who likes economic figures, as a geek on numbers like this. This is something that's very helpful for me. So you can see everything, at least from a US economic point of view. So some of their disclosures, the key dates that's happening, and also in the Philippines as well. You have the number of stocks that have advanced or moved up for the day, and you also have the number of stocks that have moved down also for the day. It gives you a perspective of how many stocks went up and went down, but also the percentage of how they went up and went down as well. It could give you insight on how the market is faring also on the general perspective. Then they also have stocks that are approaching their 52-week high or 52-week low. And the assumption is if they're approaching their 52-week low, it actually means that, hey, they're approaching their 52-week low, they have been battered down most likely, and they could be probably cheap as compared to when they were at their 52-week highs. And in the same way also, stocks approaching their 52-week highs are relatively expensive. It could have some corrective action, or it could also be a way for you to decide, okay, it's relatively in the higher side. I might take profits also once I see this hit this parameter as well. So as you can see here, AUB is very, very close to its 52-week high. MPI, because again of the listing, it's very, very close also to its 52-week high. Then you have HVN, which is also close to its 52-week high as well. In the same way, when you click the lows, you'll see FDC, MAC, IMI, and LFM close to the lows as well. I hope you found this video insightful, that 2 new features that are available in the DragonFi platform. One, to help dividend investors to somehow filter and make it easier for you to find dividend stocks that are giving you higher dividend yields, but also give you pertinent information on the dividends that you actually receive, the X dates, and somehow you don't have to go through each stock and compute the dividend yields manually. Lastly, they also have Market Pulse, which gives you everything in one go. That's heavily important if you are investing in the Philippine markets as well. If you guys have any questions about DragonFi, put it down below. If you guys have any questions about dividends, also put it down below, and I'll try to make new videos on top of the questions that you've created. If you want to know more about DragonFi, check out the links in the description below, and check out also the promo that's flashing here that will give you special access to their platform as well. And let me know, what are your thoughts also on DragonFi as a platform? Is it something that you find that's really advanced and modern? And send in your questions as well. That's it for now. Marvin Gurmo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon. God bless you all.